Welcome back to the Wealth Outside of Wall Street channel, where you, my friend, learn to get your money off of Wall Street and retire in 10 years or less. Today, my friends, we're going to be talking about the concept of money. Get out your greenbacks, get out your dollar bills, and let's talk about this little piece of paper right here and what it means for you. I want you to consider for a moment that money used to be somewhat irrelevant. Walk yourself back 100 years. I know it's hard to imagine that far. Back before cell phones, back before YouTube, back before computers, and all of the things that we enjoy today. Then most people grew up and worked in very, very small towns and villages. They had a craft that was handed down to them generationally, and in order to support a livelihood, they would literally work on a farm or work in a blacksmith shop or work in some family business and trade and transact with their local neighbors. It wasn't until the Industrial Revolution when people started to leave small towns and villages and migrate into cities and start working by trading their time for dollar bills. Those dollar bills were then used to support the cost and the standard of living. My friends, today it is virtually impossible to survive without this in your possession. Now, whether it's a digital number that you store in a bank account, whether it's cryptocurrency, or whether it's paper money like this, I want you to consider for just a minute, what is money? Now that seems like a pretty easy question, but when we ask the question, we realize that money is full of half-truths, meaning that when we try to answer definitively what money is, we come up empty-handed with a definitive solution. So let's go through this. Money used to be a store of value, okay? Consider this. Money used to be a piece of paper that we as Americans all agreed on, or if you lived in another country, that everyone agreed on, that intrinsically we know that this piece of paper has literally zero value. It's a piece of paper, right? But because this money was being able to be used and to be considered, whether I use this at the baker, whether I use this at a retail store, whether I use this to put my kids in school or go out to eat, whatever it was, we all agreed that this piece of paper, $20, had a symbol of value. A lot of this started to change back in 1971 because in 1971 we went from money being a store of value to money actually being debt. I want you to consider this. If you look at the top of any dollar bill, it says money, Federal Reserve note. What does that mean? It basically means this right here is an IOU, and this is when everything changed about money. Now, when I ask people what money means to them today, many people will tell me that they're a little bit confused. Is money the root of all evil? Is money the store of value? Is money power? Is money the ambition that we want to trade our time, effort, and energy for? At the end of the day, my friends, until you understand what money is and what it represents, money will constantly be elusive and evade you. You won't really understand how to take control over it because you don't fully understand it. So let's go through a couple of potential definitions and find out if it's a true definition of money. Is money a store of value? Now, although it used to be a store of value, today, if I have $20, I know what it buys for me today. But imagine 5 years from now. If I take out the same $20 bill 5 years from now, did this piece of paper store its value? Will I be able to buy the same amount of goods and services 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? My friends, if you're living in the 20th century, you know that money does not store its value anymore. Ever since the federal government started making money as debt, our economy has been introduced with inflation, making our dollars less and less and less valuable. So if money isn't a store of debt, what else might it be? Is money a source of power? Now, yes, but also no. Think about people in your life. Think about someone that has a lot of power. Yes, they might have wealth. Yes, they might have money, but is it also not true that people without money also have power? Think about Christ. Think about Gandhi. Think about Mother Teresa as a couple of examples. People without any money, but had a whole lot of power. Some people will tell me that money is security. Now, while this also might be true, if you have some money, you can buy yourself some security, but think about in times of famine, but think about times of hyperinflation, where your dollars get less and less valuable. Now, some people might think that money represents security, and if they have $100,000 in a 401k, they might feel secure. But think about this. If you got let go from your job today and you wanted to get that money out, how much of it's actually yours? You'd have to pay taxes and penalties and fees just for taking your money out of a 401k. How secure does that make you feel? And so while money might sometimes represent security, it also represents the lack of security. Some people might think that money is a representation of status, the car I drive, the clothes I wear, but is it also not true that we can have just as much status in other ways, our physical fitness or our intellect or anything like that? So as we go down all of the different things that money represents, it's really hard to pinpoint what is money. While it's all of those things, it's also none of those things. And until we understand what it is, it's very difficult to actually master the concept of money. So my friends, let me give you a working definition of what money actually is and what it represents for every single person, unequivocal of where you are, how old you are, or what you do for work. Money can literally be translated into time. We trade our time for money, and we're wanting to use the very same money to one day buy our time back. When you understand that money represents your time, and time is the one resource that you and I have a very limited and finite quantity of, we start to become hyper conscious and hyper aware of the money that comes into our life and the money that starts to go out of our life. Until you understand at a fundamental level that money represents your time traded, many people go on trading more and more and more and more of their time in the elusive chase of getting more and more money. But my friends, here is the fundamental point. When you understand that every dollar that you have in your bank account, I want you to consider this for just a moment. If you have a dollar bill in your wallet or a dollar bill in your bank account, I want you to consider that it is the most expensive dollar that you actually have. Think about what you had to do to have that dollar in your possession. You had to wake up and trade your time. You had to go to a job that you may or may not like. You had to sit through a commute. You had to deal with a boss. Once you got that paycheck, once you got that money, you had to pay taxes on that money. Once you pay taxes on that money, money came into your possession. But then what happened? You had to pay bills, all of the money that you had to go out of your economy for things that you've already bought and are now paying off over a period of time. Once you did that, then you had to put food on the table, put clothes on your back, deal with electricity, cell phones, all of the bills that come in and out of our life, all to be left over with a small sum of money. Now, my friends, you see how important that small sum of money actually is. You've traded a whole lot of your time, weeks, months, years, decades, to have that sum of money. The objective of your life now is to get clear that every dollar that comes into your possession is time that you've already traded, and that dollar bill that you have, or how many dollars you have, is the exact tool to buy your time back. Once you have this understanding, you can then put into place frameworks, investing goals, standards to buy your time back as fast as possible. My friends, at the end of the day, financial freedom is simple. Financial freedom is measured based on how much income, assets without your time produce for you. Financial freedom is experienced based on how much time you actually own. My friends, hopefully this gave you a brand new perspective of what money is and gave you a definition to start understanding and valuing the dollars that you have in your pocket, because once you value them, you become way more hyper conscious of what you're doing with them and what job they're meant to be doing for you. So my friends, here at Cashflow Tactics, words matter. What comes out of your mouth ultimately defines the reality that you live. You now have a word for money. Money just isn't a piece of paper anymore. Money is time. Here at Cashflow Tactics, objective is to help you buy your time back in as little as 10 years, no matter where you start from. Whether you have no money in the bank account or you have a lot of money in your bank account, our objective is to help you implement a strategy to become a true investor, not a speculator, but a true investor, to buy your time back and put money to its ultimate use, helping you be completely financially free. My friends, if that sounds interesting to you, join our YouTube channels. Click that subscribe button below and get notified of the very next video that comes out, so you have the exact tips, tricks, and strategies to help you become financially free in 10 years or less.